The altcoin market is starting to show some subtle signs of life. This is crypto simulation theory. I'm the Gaussian snake. Tonight, I'm going to talk about AAVE, which is a decentralized lending and banking protocol, and more than that. And I'm going to answer the question, should we buy it? Not financial advice, but I'll let you know for the record, I do own AAVE. I actually just bought some today. And I'm going to share not only a fundamental analysis with you, but also a technical analysis so you can see both sides. You can learn about what AAVE is as a project and also about its price action, and then make the decision for yourself. So, what is AAVE? Well, first of all, AAVE is a lending and borrowing protocol, which means that people can put different cryptocurrencies into liquidity pools to earn interest. And these funds that they put in can be borrowed by other people at varying interest rates, which can be either variable or fixed. Another unique feature about AAVE is it allows you to do flash loans, which is where you can borrow assets without needing to provide collateral, as long as the loan is repaid within a certain transaction block, usually the same transaction block. And this is useful for arbitrage, collateral swaps, and other kinds of opportunities in DeFi, quick and risky DeFi. Aave also has a governance token, which is the Aave token that enables token holders to vote on protocol changes. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Um, and improvements. So Aave is fundamentally as decentralized, or trying to be as decentralized as it possibly can be. So why choose Aave? Well, first of all, it has the first mover advantage. It was created several years ago as Lend, the Lend protocol originally, and then it switched over to Aave. They changed up their tokenomics. More on that later. So it has that. It's kind of the trusted platform for crypto lending and borrowing on Ethereum. And because it was the first such product in the space, it's allowed it to capture a pretty large portion of the DeFi market. It's also very innovative. So I already talked about flash loans. They also allow for rate switching, which is where you can actually you can switch between variable and fixed interest rates, and that allows you for flexibility depending on what's going on in the market. If only we could do that with things like our mortgages in real life, right? It has a very diverse lending environment, so like a very robust ecosystem. It supports all kinds of markets, including its own Aave market, AMM or automated market maker liquidity pools, and other things. And this allows users to engage in a wide variety of lending and borrowing activities across all kinds of different ecosystems. It's also very big lately on decentralized governance, and I'm really happy to see this in the project. It's one of the things I love about a project is when there's a huge emphasis on decentralization. So again, it has Aave, the governance token, and that actually allows users to vote on protocol upgrades, new features, and changes to the ecosystem. And this ensures that the community has a direct say in what happens with the Aave protocol and protects it from, one person kind of overtaking decision making, like what happens in traditional finance. It's got a very secure ecosystem. It's been CertiK audited. It's undergone many different security audits, um, sort of reinforcing that it's safe and it's reliable. And the team is always working on enhancing the security of the protocol as well as the assets within the protocol. The list just goes on. So interoperability and cross-chain compatibility. So Aave is not only limited to Ethereum, it's also expanding to other blockchain networks. For example, it's already available on Polygon, and Polygon taking advantage of the rollups, zkAVM, that allows for lower transaction fees and faster confirmation times, which is really important in the DeFi space. And the protocol's expansion to other layer 2 solutions and interoperable blockchain platforms allows for a broader range of accessibility and kind of like addresses Ethereum's significant congestion and high transaction fee issues, right? So there's been a lot of issues with that in the past, but I feel like Aave is kind of addressing those currently. One thing that you may have not known is that Aave actually has a great deal of institutional interest. So there are, I'll show you on the website, but there's all kinds of institutions that are expressing um, curiosity and interest in using the Aave protocol. And this could actually be very, very good for the legitimacy of the space. And, speaking of that, let's just skip down to where it says regulatory compliance. Institutions aren't going to invest in something that's not regulated or not at least willing to be regulated, but AAVE has actually been proactive in engaging with its regulators. And being ahead in terms of compliance can go a long way in terms of institutional adoption. So that's a real big plus. The revenue model and tokenomics is something that I will talk about a little bit later. So AAVE generates revenue from the interest rate spread between lending and borrowing, as well as fees from flash loans. And they also have a token burning mechanism to make their token deflationary, which is really, really cool. Love that. So there's strong developer support, community support, and engagement in strategic partnerships. So they've partnered with numerous other DeFi protocols, including Chainlink and blockchain projects. And there's actually sub projects that are developing on these platforms. And that facilitates integrations and collaborations that just further enhances the Aave ecosystem. So Aave is like a super ecosystem. Um, it's been around for a long time, so they've had a lot of time to develop, and that's what they've been doing during the bear market and even during this crab market. Is they've been innovating and developing. They don't ever stop. They're known to sort of push the envelope and see what can be done, and we're going to see how well this works when DeFi really takes off. And I think DeFi is going to take off relatively soon. I think it's going to be one of the first sectors to really pick up steam as we head into the full bull market. That you have to, and you have to think, well, why? Well, because people, okay, when the Federal Reserve um, cuts interest rates, people are going to they're going to need money, they're going to need liquidity, and so where are they going to go? They're going to go to the same place they went last cycle, except now it's a lot more robust and easy to use and quick and everything like that. So to me, it's kind of like a no-brainer. So I had bought Aave. Not the only reason. The technicals also look good. We'll get into that when I get to the chart analysis. Like I said, Aave's been building during the bear market. They've been building during the crab market. So Aave version 3 protocol update introduced a whole bunch of new features. And the goal behind this was to improve capital efficiency, security, and cross-chain functionality and integration. So they have high efficiency mode, which allows users of their protocol to maximize their borrowing power by providing higher loan to value ratios for highly correlated assets such as stablecoins and pegged assets. In fact, they even have their own native stablecoin, which I'll explain later. Isolation mode allows the protocol to list new assets with risk confined to a specific limit, reducing the protocol-wide impact if a newer asset were to fail. So they've got safeguards in place. Cross-chain portals. This allows for seamless transfer of assets across different blockchains, leveraging layer 2 blockchains and side chains for scalability and lower transaction costs. We already spoke about their integration with Polygon. Community features. So once again, these are enhancements, aimed at governance, including governance delegations, improved on-chain voting mechanisms, and chain abstractions. This is a relatively new feature of theirs that is going to allow for the most efficient lending and borrowing possible by finding the lowest rates in the fastest amount of time. So that's a really, that's Aave V3 right there. And related to that is the stablecoin, the GHO stablecoin. And let me see if I can actually pull up the website for that stablecoin after I describe, what it is. So first of all, the stablecoin is over collateralized. I did a video on USDO, which is a stablecoin on Dogecoin that was developed several months ago. We were also using like a hyper collateralized model, which what this basically means is that the risk of depegging from, if there's like, let's say the Aave net, Aave just crashes and burns, and you have stable coins that are locked up, you don't want to lose value on that. So by being over collateralized, you might actually gain value on your stable coins more likely than you would lose it. It's decentralized, so it's going to be backed by a basket of assets supplied by Aave users. Yield generating, so by minting GHO against their collateral, users will continue to earn interest on their supplied assets, and it's governance controlled. So the parameters for risk settings for GHO will be managed through Aave governance, ensuring community involvement in decision making. So I want to show you the website for GHO real quick, and we'll come back to this presentation. Okay, so this is the GSO stablecoin. They've completely revamped their look too. I'm going to show you their website towards the end of this presentation. this is backed by assets in AAVE. So you mint GHO by supplying collateral in AAVE. You earn interest on the collateral while the value of GHO is pegged to the dollar. 245% collateralization, 108 million GHO minted within the year, 133 million market cap, and 132 million of them in circulation. GHO is decentralized and transparent, backed by multiple sources of collateral, so that if one fails, the whole thing doesn't fail. I think a lot of companies learned from what happened with the Luna fiasco back in 2022. And it's super easy to build with GHO. They have an FAQ if you're curious to learn about it. I'll put links to all the relevant stuff from AAVE in the video description, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, going back to this page, let's look at the right-hand side, AAVE ARC. So AAVE ARC is an institutional program meant to bring on larger sources of capital to the project. So this is a permission DeFi platform designed for institutions. And what's great about it is, like I said earlier, you can't be taken seriously by institutions if you're not properly regulated and compliant. And so those are going to be things they're going to focus on. They're going to have KYC, which is know your customer, and AML, which is anti-money laundering checks, and custody solutions like Fireblocks to provide even more security and regulatory compliance to keep those institutional funds safe. And they also are introducing social media integrations. They've got the Lens protocol, which is basically its own decentralized social media platform within the AAVE ecosystem. As far as other things going on with AAVE, so let's go to the next slide. We've got grants and developer support. So there's the AAVE Grants DAO, which provides funding to developers to build their own projects within the ecosystem and expand it, right? So this is meant to be a community ecosystem, and so they have hackathons and competitions. They're regularly hosted to encourage this innovation and development. Liquid staking integration. So they have integration with other staking protocols like Lido DAO to allow users to stake assets that are not native to the AAVE ecosystem, but they can stake it in the AAVE ecosystem and receive staked versions, which can be used as collateral in the AAVE ecosystem. So it's kind of a brilliant solution to staking. They also have enhanced security measures, such as a very generous bug bounty program, which it increases the incentives for identifying and reporting vulnerabilities. They're really focused again on keeping their ecosystem secure, and third-party audits. So I mean, how much more can you do, right? But when it comes to managing financial products, I think this is absolutely essential. Okay, these are the AAVE tokenomics, also known as Avenomics. So again, this project launched during the ETH era under the name of Lend. Kulechov, who is the CEO of AAVE, held an ICO back in 2017 and raised $16.2 million from investors at just under 2 cents per token. Imagine that. In 2020, he swapped that token and reduced the supply down in a 100-to-1 ratio. So Lend token holders were able to bridge their lend and then get 100 lend would or 100 lend would bridge to one AAVE, and so that took the token supply dramatically down from 1.3 billion to 13 million. And they also allocated an additional 3 million tokens to the AAVE ecosystem reserve. So when they migrated, that introduced community governance to the protocol, and at the time the community were allowed to make proposals, AIPs, which is very common for DAOs to do that sort of thing, and guide the project development. And so governance was the main feature of the AAVE token. And the initial distribution was 30% to the core, 20% user experience, 20% management and legal, 20% promotions and marketing, and 10% miscellaneous. And this cost breakdown seems very sensible for a project that is basically trusted with, securing user funds and transporting those funds from one avenue to another through the blockchain, and ensuring that creditors get paid and that the risk is minimized while rewards are maximized. So I personally don't see an issue with the tokenomics. I think they're fair and fine. this is the governance protocol in a very simplified manner. I'm going to show you where you can find out more information about this because I really don't want to get into all of it in this video. But AAVE token holders basically govern with the AAVE token, and then the AAVE protocol, you can think of it as sort of split up into three sectors: an insurance pool to assure security, money markets, this is where a lot of the trading takes place, and the ecosystem reserve that we just spoke about. And so this is kind of a safety module architecture. Again, this is explained in their flash paper, which is like an abbreviated white paper. I'm not going to really explain all of this, but basically they have a protocol in place to ensure that everything functions efficiently and that there are safeguards in place should something go wrong. All right. So who founded AAVE? Stani Kulichov. Okay, I'm really bad with names, so I apologize if I butchered that. He's a Finnish programmer and developer, has a master's in law from the University of Helsinki in 2018, got interested in blockchain back in 2017 and started building. Okay. And so I want to just show you the website real quick and kind of, they've done a lot of updates to it if you haven't seen it in a while, and it's pretty user friendly. Before I do an overview of the website, I did want to say one thing about GHO, their stablecoin. I did say that it was backed by a basket of assets. Well, you can see right here, look at all these assets. Okay. So this is an over collateralized stablecoin, and this is the borrow rate for GHO. This is how much has been borrowed. So this information is available on their website, and again, I'll link that in the video description. Okay, so back to the general website. Let's go look at that one. Okay, for those of you who haven't really thought about AAVE in a long time, they've updated their look on their website. So you can see here, I'm just going to scroll through. There, no need to really talk about all this, but they're going to tell you kind of what's been going on with the protocol, talk a little bit about DeFi, about how their stuff works, about GHO, all the builders, people building on AAVE. And here are AAVE's partners and supporters. You have JP Morgan Chase in there, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Fireblocks, Banco de Brazil, Centrifuge, Consensus. Again, emphasizing that this is a community governed token. Security is super important. We've already kind of spoken about all this. FAQ, and they've got their socials down here, their Twitter, Discord. They've got their own social. I forgot what this is called, something.xyz, GitHub. Okay, so there's a lot of different supports and social media supports built in here for AAVE on the website. So really nice website, and I'll link to it down in the description. I also have the flash paper, which I'll also link to in the video description. And this is really good to read if you want to get a general overview of how the AAVE platform works without getting buried in technical details. And if you need more details, you can just click on their links and it will tell you more about what you need to know. So that's a really nice feature of having kind of like a condensed white paper. Okay, so in the second part of this video, I'd like to focus on a technical analysis of AAVE. And fundamentals are one thing, right? We got to make sure that a project has solid fundamentals and it isn't a rug or a scam, which I do not think AAVE is at all. And then we look at the technicals, we look at the chart, because that can help us determine if it's a good time to buy or not. So let's go ahead and look at AAVE's chart. And so I'm going to start off with AAVE on the 2-week time frame. AAVE is a fairly old asset that goes back to 2017, so it's 7 years old, making it one of the older altcoins in the market. And I really think this is pretty much earning its blue chip status this particular cycle. Okay, so what did I notice about AAVE that made it so attractive from a technical point of view? Well, let's look right here. We have a bottom, right? This was back in, it looks like early 2022. And then we have another bottom in late 2022. And then we have another bottom in 2023. And then recently, we've had kind of like two bottoms, kind of like double bottom, okay? So a triple bottom to me, this was a little bit like Chainlink, a little bit, right? What Chainlink did. It got range bound for a while, but overall, I think it has a healthier chart structure than Chainlink, and this is why I'm, positioning myself with Aave instead of Chainlink when it comes to DeFi. So this is actually pretty attractive pattern, and then you'll notice that Aave is also having contracting volatility. You can see this with the weighted logarithmic Bollinger Bands. It went through the 2-week uh, red Gaussian, which is now concave up fairly easily, and it's sitting right at the top of the channel. And this is generally where you see major breakouts happen. Okay, what you'll see is you'll see an asset butt up against the bottom part of the channel now, and you've got the channel concave up, and it's very, very hard to move a 2-week Gaussian channel. That, I mean, to change it like to back to concave down or something like that, very, very difficult to do. And so I'm expecting a blast off to happen here. I can't tell you when that's going to happen. We're in September, which is not the greatest month for crypto, but I do expect DeFi to lead the way into the next phase of the bull market and the next altcoin season, unlike the first phase, which happened in late 2023, because people are going to need money to trade. They're going to go straight to DeFi protocols. So I anticipate Aave is going to get a lot of use. People are going to get excited about this platform, and they're going to buy a lot of Aave. So that's what I'm seeing right now in terms of the 2-week time frame. We can certainly dial it down to the 1 week and take a look at some more immediate features, but I wanted to at least point that out first. On the weekly time frame, Aave's moving averages look fantastic and set up for success. So one of the best looking charts, honestly, in all of crypto right now, in my opinion, especially for a project of this size, a large cap like this one, or arguably a mid cap, depending on what you define as large cap these days. So what I'm noticing, let me just remind you how I do things. I use whole moving averages. I do not use simple moving averages. Traditionally, I don't. I find whole moving averages to be more current, right? Their mathematical formula is lends themselves to less of a lagging nature. Aave had a death cross very briefly and of course I turn the crosshairs off when I need a date. Very briefly in looks like June, but look what's happening to this 50-week. It's curling back up and it's about to do a golden cross. A golden cross, and look at what's happening with the 200-week also turning up. So you're about to have these moving averages stacked, and that is exactly what we want to see for confirmed bullishness. Look at that 20-week. I don't normally pull up the 20-week, but the 20-week is just golden cross through the 50 and the 100. Everything is getting nicely lined up for an explosive move. And just like what happened in 2018, 2019, Chainlink kind of led the way, and then Aave also with it performed very well during that time. It's just not a surprise to see DeFi kind of waking up right now. And so, you don't want to miss it, right? You want to get to it while you can. So just from just simply looking at these moving averages, I can tell you how bullish this is. I don't need to like overanalyze it to tell you that. And again, the triple bottom, you've got, just to kind of like point this out to you again, you've got a nice bottom here. You've got another bottom here. I should have just locked the drawing tool. I'm very inefficient with this stuff. Okay. Another bottom there. You've got arguably, I don't know, maybe you want to call kind of hard to really identify which one's the bottom, but you could call it this one maybe bottom here and another bottom here. So, I mean, in terms of like, a triple bottom is like the most bullish pattern you can possibly have. A triple bottom followed by a double bottom, and it almost looks like a mini cup and handle. Like, let me explain. So, you guys don't want me doing a lot of drawing, believe me. My drawings are horrendous. But look, you almost have like a cup. It's very, very slight and hard to notice, especially, I could probably drag it out and make it look more dramatic if I wanted to. And you got like a handle for me. Oh my goodness, this thing's gonna explode. This thing is gonna run hard. So yeah, I think an area where Aave may hit a little bit of a snag on its way up. It's a couple zones, right? But it's got to get past this like zone up here. Okay, so there's gonna be some resistance levels along the way. we don't anticipate that AAVE will just blast through without any trouble at all. But I think we could see a kind of an impulsive move to test some of these high values that we had from the previous bull market heading into the bear. And there might be some people who want to sell up here, right? You have these things happen. I'm going to make this green instead of the color that I have it. So this is like a green zone that I would anticipate AAVE would get into relatively soon, probably by October, and it might struggle a little bit in there and then just kind of make its way up, to up here where I think it will have another, probably minor struggle, but it probably might have an easier time taking out its all-time high. So very impressed with that. Let's pull up some fibs and VRVP to kind of confirm what we're talking about. So I can't actually get the VRVP because I am using the crypto market cap version of AAVE. I'd have to go to an exchange version to see the VRVP. It's not that important. You can see that AAVE broke through the 236 fib in November consolidation range in there, and it looks to be tapping on the door of the 382. I expect it will be a very quick trip to the 618 once we break through the 382, which I think could happen as soon as this month or maybe October. And then I think there'll be a little bit of consolidation that happens at the 618, probably a little more consolidation between the 786 and the 886. But I imagine from there, price discovery will be pretty aggressive. Now, do keep in mind that AAVE, being an older asset, is going to be subject to significantly diminished returns. So that looks like we had a 2,108x measured move. Yeah, I think as far as price predictions go, I'm just going to kind of stay away from that for now, but I'm just guessing maybe 3,000. The overall risk of AAVE, you can see that it got very overbought back in February of 2021, and it's been pretty much an oversold territory for a really long time. It's starting to curve back up. So generally, my DCA zone is anywhere between the 0 and the 0.2 line, and so we're kind of like right in there. But yeah, I mean, AAVE is very undervalued, so I think if you have a long enough time horizon, you just can't go wrong with this. I think it's going to do very well, and I think the time that it's going to start making a move is fairly soon. That's it. And so will you choose to buy AAVE? Well, that's completely up to you. All my analysis, fundamental and technical, is not intended to be a substitute for your own research, so please do your own research. Thanks for joining me. Another crypto simulation episode where we looked at AAVE, should I buy? Please hit that like and subscribe button, and also be sure to join my Telegram group for the latest alpha and news, including updates on AAVE, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other assets. We have a group of analysts there, as well as a community of almost 300 people. We'd love to have you join us. And again, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. Until next time, good luck investing, and I wish you the best in this upcoming bull market.